I've known Nadine as for quite a while. She's very active in the Black community, and I've always known her as someone who gives back because she has such a huge, generous heart. How have you been? How's your heart?
It's life's been dealing me some really crushing blows over the last little bit, and so I've felt like I've kind of been caving under it. But I'm hopeful. I know. I mean, it feels like I've been here before, and so I know that there is a up.
What feels different about this down right now?
What feels different about this down? It's by far the worst in terms of it's been prolonged. It's been a very long it's been long, and I've tried to ignore it sometimes, but the ignoring doesn't really work, right? It catches up to you. So unless you kind of deal with it, you try to, I don't know, put a Band-Aid over it, but it's deeper than that. Yeah, it needs some stitches.
Yes, it needs some, we need to sit with it and take a look at it. And we do know that what we, suppress or what we repress, eventually it explodes, right? I always say, in the Caribbean, in our Caribbean culture, the whole thing is that, we sweep the dirt under the rug. Yes. We sweep it under the rug, but what happens when it's under the rug? It turns into mold, and then pretty soon it's rot the foundation, and things are in a place where now we feel exactly. Would you say you're forgiven Nadine for being back here again?
Definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
That's why we're here.
Definitely
right?
not.
Yeah. What's been the hardest about this round?
I guess having my adult children around, where when they're kids you have a bit more control over their actions and what they do, but adults, you have no control, honey, none whatsoever, and you're told all the things. And so definitely that layer has just completely and it's 3-on-1 kind of thing. It feels like 3-on-1. It's been extremely heavy. That's a difference, having the kids fully grown.
Yeah, and not having that support.
Not having the support, and when they're fully grown, but sometimes their behavior isn't fully grown, and so.
Do you feel like, in some way or some level that, society or, whether it's family or even just, the children's father, that they failed you in some way, that you didn't get the support you needed?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the some of the challenges that I have with the kids, it would be so amazing. And he doesn't live very far from here at all, right? And I mean, he not to really give him too much credit, but definitely there's so much more that, I shouldn't say so much more, there's so much that he could, because he does nothing. It's all on me. But the fact that they're now adults, people quickly, oh, they're adults, my obligation is done here. However, it does not. It continues, and it weighs so heavy. 10 or 3 10 to 30 times the weight, right? Because it's 3 of them. So.
What would you say you would tell that Nadine who's holding on to the shame? What is one thing that you can tell her, or you would like to tell her, when you think about her and all the weight and things she's been carrying all by herself all those years?
There is grace that I need to extend to myself. Yes. And then it's something I said on the weekend. I hosted this event in Florida, Women's Empowering event, and I remember sharing a personal story with them and then telling them you can always start over, right? And so just telling that to myself, you can always start over, beginning right where you're at. You can always start over. Give yourself some grace, and you can start over.
So what does starting over look like with that elephant story that we're we're going to choose not to let it drive our narrative or be the thing that we lead with. What would be grace? What can grace look like in this moment as we create that space for us to acknowledge that shame and to just see how is it showing up, in the day to day?
I don't know if shame is the overarching emotion that I carry. I think disappointment is I think disappointment in myself, in some of the decisions that I've chosen to make. And so just kind of undoing or unraveling those, right? Because life is about the decisions that we make. Like I decided right in the moment, I can decide to say, you know what, girl, bye, I don't want to talk about this, and I can get it. It's a decision, right? So it's just choosing to make different decisions to bring about the change, Like, for example, and this is personal, I was diagnosed with diabetes last year. And when I was diagnosed, I had to go to the hospital because it was very bad. I wasn't educated around it. And so the decisions, like I'm not on medication because I had to be medicated right away, but the decisions that I've been making, right, knowing what diabetes is and the things that you have to do and not do and eat and the exercise, and so those decisions, so making the decision if I feel like sitting around deciding I'm going to go for a walk or what have you. So it's about some decisions that you make that kind of change the trajectory of things, and it's starting as hard as they are, just making them right?
A priority.
Yeah.
Taking that small step. And it doesn't have to look like the same thing every day.
No, not at all. And some days, let me tell you, some days. So you will want to walk back on those decisions that you've made because, whatever, you have haunting memories or all sorts of things that'll come to railroad that. But it is this kind of deep self-talk and self-belief and realizing that a change is needed, that will drive the hardship, right? Yeah.
When you look back, in terms of the decisions that got you here, would you say that there are any regrets?
So this is where the shame, I think this is where this is where if I was to use the word shame, I think this is where it would then come in. And so maybe you are correct in that. That's kind of the root. Like you look back and you're like, did I really do that? That was really me? Like, right? So yeah. So that's kind of, that's where I see that.
One of the biggest things to reconcile, when it comes to whatever is the base story of us not feeling good enough, and sometimes it feels so hard to start again when you don't have that support circle, or even the examples of what you want that life to look like, and it feels hard to start again because you're like, man, at this point in my life, I should be, or I need to be. So sometimes there are so many should statements that come up. When you think about your self-trust circle, because sometimes having that buddy, that person we can text, or that I call it my sister talk circle, what are some of the things or some of the people that you have in that self-trust circle who know that the stuff that we sweep under the rug, so then they're helping you from a place of your truth and not the performance or, hey, society, look at me, I have all my life together, everything is great. But when we acknowledge everything is not great, this is where we get the help, the real help that we need. What would you say in terms of, who's in your circle of trust and how are you building that?
It's extremely small. Very, very, very small. And so definitely that could be improved in terms of finding support. Because when you're occupied with other things, other important things, other enriching things, whatever those things may be, if it's a spa day, if it's a country drive, if it's whatever, I love country drives and country air. And I went to Stratford last weekend. I've been invited for feels like years. Come to Stratford, you have to come to the theater. And I just up and said, I'm going to Stratford. And I went, and oh, it was so refreshing. I overnight, they wined and dined me. I went to a show and I'm going back. So just these other enriching things, adding them to your life that kind of fills the void of things that you think that you needed or what have you. So
What would you say prevented you from accepting the invitation before?
just always something else, doing something else, not being intentional. So this was an intentional thing. So intentionally doing things that are enriching and, as opposed to shop. So I've girl, you do not want to see my closet upstairs.
I
Okay?
need to see.
So
You
what
know I have
so what I have done in my escape is people's store. Like I'm just looking. Right? And whether it be another throw or two more towels or so many clothes with the tags on it, whether it's a size 18 pair of shorts set from Banana Republic because it was $19.99 less 60%, even though it can't fit me, but somebody can take in this side or maybe it'll fit someone. Just the foolishness of that. So instead of going
foolishness, or it's actually valid in the moment.
It's foolishness in the sense that there's so much of it. You understand? Like I'm drowning in it. I have to divest of all of it. There's so much of it. So instead of doing things like that, doing things like, taking up on an invitation to come out to the country and enjoy the culture of the little town, theater town. So little things like that. So it's the decisions, making different decisions that will have more positive outcomes.
And I would say that making the decision to acknowledge, the buying of all the stuff, even if it doesn't fit, is equally as important as going out into Stratford and taking in the country air, because both of them will bring in that ease of, flow and all the things you're talking about the Stratford air in the same way, just different pathways, right?
Right.
Because yes, we know sometimes, we do things and it's not intentional and, you're buying all those things, but there's a reason why you're buying all those things. Because when we're going outside of ourselves to fulfill a need, it's because there is something inside. There's something under the rug that's like, hey, Nadine, Karlyn, I need to talk to you. I need to come out. So giving it the time and space and not rushing through it is equally as important and requires just as much strength. Because then when you sit with it, you're able to now, okay, what's the elephant story behind this? Where is that coming from? And if I cannot buy, where can I take that energy? And sometimes that energy needs to come back and sit with it, and to sit with the, okay, I can't buy this. I'm going to sit with the discomfort of whatever the thing is, whether it's picking up the phone and, calling someone for help, whether it's, hey, you know what, maybe I need to revisit that forgiveness letter. Because I realized, I thought, like you said, the Band-Aid, I thought I forgave Nadine for X, but I realized I just put another Band-Aid on it. I put another pants on it, I put another towel on it, I put another throw on it. And sometimes it's so hard to acknowledge that, because acknowledging that means that you're acknowledging your full humanity. And as a Black woman, right, the world is not very forgiving.
No, not at all.
In exploring your full humanity. So we put on a show.
You're a strong Black woman, but you're a strong actress at times, or actor.
And what happens when we're strong actors and actresses?
The show comes down, the curtain comes down, it doesn't go on forever. When it comes down, you look in the mirror and you see the real, and hence this need to kind of, stop acting for a minute and acknowledge, right?
Yeah.
So
And allow yourself
allow the curtain to come down and just sit there and say, that was a great show, by the way. Let me tell you something.
So when the curtain comes down and you're looking in the mirror, what do you, because now the clothes is gone, all the titles, the awards, it's just you and Nadine. What do you see? Hope
For such a brilliant future, because of all the potential that lies within me, all the things, all the hugs, the 3 hours that it takes me to leave after hosting an event, because everybody has something to say. So just tapping into that person, right? The value that's there.
Yeah, because she's always there. She never goes away. She's always with you. And when we don't have the awards and all the people and, you know, lining up, buying the books, buying the, you know, the posters and all of that, and it's just you and Nadine and the skin you were born in, that's it. What else do you see? What else do you tell her? What else comes up?
Right now or futuristic?
In the past, right now, or when you even think about, you know, if you stop buying all the things and it's just you and her, what do you tell her? What do you see? What comes up? Because yes, hope is there. And we are here because we want to turn that hope into a lasting, sustainable hope where things change and we're no longer shopping. So I know there are other things that come up.
I would say just creating works, creating opportunities. So there's the entrepreneur mind that's always kind of going, right? So there's that part is huge. Just little things like, you know, putting on my running shoes and walking down to the amazing trail and taking in nature, you know, and just being really hopeful for the future. I think that's kind of what, you know.
And when she's not hopeful, because we all have those dark days. I have them.
Those
I have
dark
the
days,
when...
I stay in bed and I don't want to come out of my bed, and I don't want to come out of bed. I pull up the curtain and I have light, but I'm lying in bed. But I write in those times. It's funny enough, in those times I create the best art, which is most ridiculous, but from the pain, yeah. But you know, I'm hoping to just do some small changes to kind of change what that looks like, right? Yeah. That's
it, right? We start from our truth, and no matter, you know, what, you know, the mirror says back. Because I think, when I think of my days, on the days where I didn't feel worthy, or the days where I'm like, you know, you're not good enough. The narrative comes up, right? And depending on, you know, where I'm at, you know, in my life, sometimes I believe it, right? And then, you know, you gotta go back into your toolkit or into my sister talk circle for support. And
you know, I never get to the point where I feel like I'm not good enough, and this is one of the things that has really driven me to continue, because I believe I'm so good. But what it is, you know, get rid of the clutter so that you can realize this goodness.
Would you say someone who believes in themselves and who knows they're good enough would be here right now? Because when we believe in that worthiness and we're good enough, right? We make decisions that's in alignment in there. So on some subconscious level, there is a belief
that, I'm not good enough.
That is.
So definitely not on the professional front. It's the personal stuff. So on a personal level, you know, you're fighting a battle that you feel like you're not winning. Definitely never on the professional front, because I've lived it, I've seen it, I know that. So definitely not that level, but on a personal level, it you know, you feel like, you know, can you do this? Is this a decision you can continually make every day to ensure that you can find yourself on the other side of it? And the forgiveness business, you know, you know, there's a lot of like, how could you have done that? You know, kind of self-blame and that sort of thing. So definitely from that point of view, yeah. But I like to think a lot I like to wear my professional hat a lot, being an entrepreneur, and so that's why when you ask, that's automatically where I went to.
Yeah, and that's one of the roles we play, and I often remind folks, especially when it comes to loving yourself, and the role or the title doesn't really matter, right? Because a little analogy I always tell clients is that, you know, you do not have a professional brain and a personal brain. You're you,
brain, yes,
right?
Yeah.
The role is an expression of your identity, right? How you decide to show up. So yes, I'm Karlyn. I show up in my professional role in a particular way in terms of expressing myself. And at the same time, personal Karlyn is the same. It just looks different. Right. So there isn't a difference between one or the other, because when I show up, I show up. And those moments of darkness and not good enough, it's a part of the human condition. Yes. It doesn't say I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not professional enough, etc., etc. And when I think about the misogynoir, Black women go through, I mean, we need all the tenderness and love and care, like all of it. And sometimes even personally, it's hard to acknowledge that I need help, because the world is not kind to me when and if I need help, because I'm supposed to be the strong
Black woman.
A strong Black woman. So sometimes it's okay to acknowledge that strong Black woman looks like spending time and acknowledging the shame, guilt, whatever it might be. What does that feel like for you, Karlyn? Like, I give myself permission to do that, because if not, I won't be able to optimize my full professional capacity. Because when I'm in that confidence in all areas, it shows up even greater in my professional life.
Without a doubt. And this would definitely, it would speak to why I haven't even scratched the surface of my career. I've been at it for a minute, as you well know, and I mean, I've seen people just like gone. And I know that I have just a lot of weight that prevents my feet from running, right? And so, yeah.
And we're unpacking that weight.
Definitely.
So when we write that forgiveness letter, because I know there's so much, especially when we betray ourselves, because the more we take steps away from what we know we truly can be, right, with all the stuff that's weighing us down, we can, we betray a little bits of who we are and who we are becoming. So we can start writing those letters of forgiveness to ourselves, to the people who didn't fully support us, right, even to where we are right now in our lives, in terms of, man, I thought I would be somewhere different. So how about we write that letter? You down?
Like me and you? Like right now?
We're going to write that letter out. We're just going to write a small self-forgiveness letter. It doesn't have to name anything or anybody.
Okay.
But if we spend time there and just acknowledge that, you're giving your full heart back to yourself. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
So in working with Nadine, one of the recurring themes that came up was forgiveness. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. And this is why we're really focused on helping Nadine to write those self-forgiveness letters. Writing a letter of forgiveness is a great way for us to get closure. It has also helped her to reconcile some of the areas or some of the parts of her life that she might have had trouble, letting go, or in some cases grieving. And forgiveness. As a single mom, it's hard to put yourself first, especially if you have, 3 young kids. And of course, yes, the kids they're no longer children, but the habit of consistently putting the kids first and putting yourself on the back burner, it's very hard as an adult to just switch back on and to put yourself first.
Would you count the kids as part of your cheerleaders? Would they be a part of that journey with you? Or would you say they also need their own support for their own journey as you move forward?
They most definitely need their own support. They, there's a lot of, I would say, anger. There's been a lot of hardships that they have faced. Because the journey really is mine, and it because it's mine and they're a part of it, it automatically becomes like theirs, but they didn't sign up for it. But I focused a lot, I would say, on my work things, and the personal things were not as didn't even get a quarter of the attention that it needed, right? And
and it needs the attention.
It creates a huge disparity between the work me and the personal me. So the personal me is kind of like drowning, but I dress up and I show up. And so it's like putting on a Band-Aid,
Yes, a mask.
And then kind of coming back to can't get out of bed, or, you know what I mean? So it's so important to take care of the personal. And imagine then how much more you could show up for work, right?
I want you to now write 3 different letters, one to each of your children. And I want you to write who you see them becoming.
So this is my room.
Nice.
I am in the process of decluttering, as you can see, and I've put some of the pieces that I'm keeping over here.
Yes, and we had this little assignment where I asked you to pull maybe 3 to 5 things that mean a lot to you,
Right.
that you really love.
Yes,
get these
I
set
did.
aside?
I certainly
Awesome,
did.
let's see.
And it was very easy to do. Right away, I think of this butterfly dress.
This is stunning. Oh.
Yeah, I really
Are you
love
giving
the
this
fact
one
that
away?
No, this is definitely a piece that
Yes.
stays.
This one's beautiful.
There is also this suit. I love Banana Republic. I don't know if you can.
Yes, I do.
tell or
I
not,
love.
But this
Oh.
blue suit here.
This is a
And
How
then
is
there
it?
is this yellow dress. Whenever I feel like bringing the sunshine, I sort of do this. And
the
they're all-
sleeves.
yeah.
Can you tell I love sleeves too? Oh, this is beautiful. Meditation is such a great tool for us to tap into who we are, and it just gives us this moment where we can tap into our subconscious and call on that confident person. And with Nadine, we did a future self meditation, and we visualized her in some of the pieces that she felt the most beautiful and the most powerful. And I think this is a tool that Nadine will continue to use in order for her to tap into her future self. Just pulling the vision of you wearing that butterfly dress. Pulling the joy. How do you feel? Envision yourself feeling joyful, confident, feeling like you are the butterfly. Bringing joy to everyone who sees you strutting down the street. And to close, repeat after me. I am well loved.
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 Yes. Nadine, I am so excited for you, and I am so proud of you for being so brave and bold with your heart. And we cannot wait to see you not only dream bigger into your purpose, but to smash every single goal that you have set for yourself. We are rooting for you always.